Welcome back, everyone. All right, let's start declaring some variables, okay? And what is a variable? Well, we've talked a little bit about this in the early part of the course, but let's talk about how we can do this here. Okay, so first of all, I like to comment out where my variables are, and variables are usually declared at the top. So we've done a little bit of this before, and what we're going to do is we're going to go variable is going to be equals, and for example, what we need to do is variable, and then what we need to do is say a name. So for example, let's just say number. Okay, so the variable number is going to equal 1. Now remember, you don't have to necessarily set it or initialize it. You can just put variable number. Okay, and now it's equal to 0, but if you really wanted to make it equal to 10, you're more than welcome to equal to 10. In the earlier part of the course, we talked about this number variables being an int. Okay, so in the past, in other programming language, you'd have to specify what kind of variable it is. In JavaScript, it's not that specific. Now, that's very good, and it's very bad at the same time. Because what ends up happening is later on you might be using strings and integers, but all of a sudden you might mix them up, and you'll end up with this weird code, and it'll be something weird will happen in your project, and you won't know what it is, and it makes debugging a little bit harder to think of. Whereas in, let's say, some other programming languages, it's really strict. You know, if you try to use an integer where a string is supposed to be used, it'll pop up an error. So that's just the way this is. It makes it a little bit easier, but I just want you to be aware that this here can happen, or basically variables are not declared until you initialize them. Okay, so watch this. If I go variable names and semicolon, we don't know what that is yet, okay? And it could be a number. Basically, it could be some kind of data until we go ahead and do something like this. Names equals, and remember you have to actually put this in here. You have to put the quotes, okay? Until names equals John, okay? And what ends up happening here is basically in this line, right? I'll just comment out and just type in this line. At this line, names could be whatever it is. But at that line, okay, we know that names is equal to John. Pretty simple, right? Also, let's just say equals, and then we'll make it equal to John. Simple enough. Now, oops, I forgot the, there we go. Okay, what about var on off? Okay, at this line we don't know what on off is. Now we know what on off does. It's equal to true. And so at that line we know that on off is a Boolean. Okay, and if you remember what a Boolean is, it's only a true or false. Okay, so let's just go ahead and we'll equal that to true. All right, and that's a little introduction to variables. I'll see you guys next time.